There's this growing problem within the community where more and more people think that they're entitled to censor and silence anything that causes them offense. But the problem goes further than that, and to an even greater extreme. They take normal, innocuous speech, and merely pretend that it's offensive. Then they use that to try and justify some sort of punishment against you. Or they use it as justification to then viciously slander and harass you. Absolutely disgusting and monstrous stuff. And for Aspergians and Autistics, the biggest problem with these safe spaces and anti-free speech stuff, where every little thing is offensive, it's that they completely shut down any kind of advocacy for Aspergians and Autistics. I'll explain the problem. We have this really damaging public perception where people think of us as kids for starters. See, I'd mentioned this in my last video, but I do think it bears repeating. We're simply inundated with all sorts of vile and disgusting stigmas, where the general public thinks we're, stupid or unintelligent or incompetent, or they think we're some sort of, awful medical condition or disease or what have you. Then there's people that think that we're dangerous or that we're mentally unwell, or they view us as psychos or something like that. Just all sorts of awful stuff that people think is true when it simply isn't. And those vile stigmas do affect our lives. It affects our education, our employment, our healthcare, and our relationships. For example, I found a statistic just the other day putting us at a 16% employment rate. Right? Now, that's not a 16% unemployment rate. That's a 16% employment rate. So that's a whopping 84% unemployment. And guess what? That hasn't changed in years and years. And people think that it's somehow our fault. Well, no. It's because potential employers will, 84% of the time, pick a neurotypical over an Aspergian. And they do that because they genuinely believe that we're incompetent or mentally unstable or whatever other vile and disgusting stigmas that we have looming over us. And the way we change this awful public perception is with debate. We discuss these ideas, we talk about them, and we find out what ideas have merit or not, based on logic, reason, and evidence. It is what we desperately need. So when Professor Jordan Peterson says free speech is the mechanism by which we keep our society functioning, for us it's quite different. Free speech represents our salvation. Now, advocacy simply cannot happen within a safe space or under a cloud of appalling censorship. For example, let's say that someone asserts that we're a medical condition, which is nonsense, because no one is a patient in a hospital specifically for Asperger's or autism. You don't visit the doctor and say, "Oh, hey doc, my Asperger's is playing up today." No, this doesn't happen. It's just nonsense. But if we were to ask that person, okay then, what is your reasoning for asserting that we're a medical condition? There's nothing then stopping that person from pretending that your question is offensive, where they then feel entitled to punish and censor you just for asking what their reasoning is. Okay, another example, something more common. A lot of people think that vaccines magically turn neurotypicals into Aspergians or autistics. And it's something that's been thoroughly debunked and, well over a decade now. But for the people that spout this nonsense, I've got this little image that sort of looks a bit like a pamphlet. And it absolutely just blows that nonsense out of the water. And it has all the sources with links to all the studies and statistics, etc. But within one of these grotesque safe spaces, I don't have the opportunity to refute that nonsense. It just gets quietly shut down and pushed to the side. The only thing that does is reaffirm that nonsense in the mind of the person that believes it. Basically, they think that because they were censored rather than refuted, that they must be right. So that nonsense doesn't get refuted at all. It just continues on elsewhere. It does not help us to censor that. It's the same for people that deny the Holocaust. Yes, it's an awful thing to do, but it's just as bad to merely censor it rather than refute it, because the end result will always be the perpetuation of those horrid ideas. So basically, to sum up my thoughts, if these safe spaces and censorship practices become commonplace, as they do appear to be becoming, advocacy for Aspergians and Autistics simply cannot work. So for those that want to dispel some of the vile stigmas we have looming over us, such as myself, safe spaces and censorship represents the cancer, while our rights of free speech and expression represent our salvation. So in the previous video, I did mention that I have some ideas that I've been mulling over as to how to combat these appalling safe spaces and this grotesque abuse of our rights. So for starters, I think we have to replace these forums where our abuse of rights is happening. I do think we have to create our own. Because if you talk to the people in charge, you'll find that they're not open to discussion about it, that they're content to just keep on censoring and slandering and what have you. And you simply can't reason with them because they've happily thrown reason out the fucking window. And as such, they'll always think that it's the right thing to do, where shutting down our speech and expression and slandering the speaker is just something they'll always view as appropriate. So I do believe that the solution is to abandon ship and basically let them have their little echo chambers where all the speech is getting quietly shut down. That way we'll have a place where we can challenge these appalling stigmas. And not just a haven for Aspergians and Autistics to hide away. That's not what I mean. But a place where everyone can come and talk about the spectrum. A place where debate can flourish in the free and fair marketplace of ideas, not just between AS people, but within the community as a whole. So straight away, people will be thinking, oh, Moro, just make another Facebook group. That should fix it, yeah? Well, there are a number of problems with Facebook. With Facebook, there have been quite a few incidents of censorship. Now, nowadays, the people aren't standing on like a street corner with shouting their speech and what have you. They're instead making Facebook posts or Twitter posts. And if Facebook doesn't like it, they just turn around and censor the person. And they think it's appropriate to do that. If you do a search for Facebook censorship, you can actually find a litany of examples where they censor speech when I don't think they have the right to do that. They also have this issue of people vandalizing threads, where whoever started the thread is considered the owner of that thread, where they have the ability to just delete the entire thread, amazingly enough. So, just imagine it. You have this massive debate on Facebook, and post over 1,000 words. Then the owner of the thread can just go, oh, I don't like this thread anymore, and just delete the entire thread. And so all of your words vanish just like that. So you end up having to walk on eggshells around the owner, and it just isn't an environment where debate can flourish. It just isn't. Then you have a problem with people false flagging your posts, where people can actually remove your posts by just flagging them over and over. And if you get enough false flags in a certain amount of time, Facebook will actually ban you from posting for a time. Yeah, even if your posts aren't against the terms of service, it's a system that can be so easily abused, and there doesn't appear to be any repercussions for the people that do make false flags. Then there's the whole privacy issue thing, where these horrid, vindictive social justice warriors will scan through your Facebook information, looking for ways to fuck up your life. And going after your job is one of them. They have no issue with contacting your boss and making up all sorts of disgusting lies about you, for example. If they can find that information, they've no qualms doing things like that. But some people in the YouTube comments clued me in as to an alternative to Facebook. It's called Minds, and have a listen to this. This is from their About page. Welcome to Minds, a platform for freedom. Freedom of speech, press and expression. Speak your mind and truly be heard. Freedom to run, copy, distribute, study, change and improve the software. Okay. Freedom to make a living doing what you love. And then they've got a numbered bullet points item. Create a channel or launch your own social network and mobile app with free and open source code at onminds.org. Earn points for being active on the app. Boost your content for extra virality. Gain real privacy, anonymity, and internet freedom. Amazing, It's as if it was designed specifically for us. It appears to be in beta, as it's, a new website, but as a social platform, social media platform, I should say, it does look quite promising. So I signed up and created a group. It's called Free Speech Aspergians and Autistics. I didn't want to go with a name like Aspergians or Autistics Uncensored, because it sounds like something you'd find on the cover of a porno film or something like that. But it doesn't have a banner or an icon at the moment, or even a description. I'll have to look up those images later, or, people can make suggestions as to what to put there. I'm sure we'll figure something out. But it exists, and that's the main thing. We have a place that isn't one of these appalling safe spaces. So I'll have the link in the description if you want to come and have a look, or if you want to discuss something, we're free to do that now. So thank you to the people at Minds for Minds. Also, what I eventually want to do is build my own forum to replace like Wrong Planet and Aspie Central, both awful places that have an issue with legitimate criticism. No matter how mild and tepid it is. Quite a few people have actually suggested it to me before, saying, oh, Moro, you should make your own forum. Well, I think that's a good idea, because it is something that's needed, as we don't have a place where we can actually speak about this stuff online. Another idea I've been mulling over is to make a sort of list, more of a guide. If you were visiting a new and exciting place and you wanted to get something to eat, for example, wouldn't it be great to have a list of places to avoid? I think that would be a huge boon, to have that sort of insider knowledge at your fingertips. Well, we do have that in the form of reviews on Yelp and Zomato and whatnot. However, for those looking to connect with and debate AS, looking for that online is quite frankly a minefield. I went through it, and it's not something I would wish upon my worst enemy. So what I'm proposing is the formation of some kind of list that everyone can contribute to, where it shows people all the regressive and toxic places on the internet that are about safe spaces and trigger warning, along with the evidence for that, of course. So that way, people can wisely avoid that minefield, or at the very least know what they're getting themselves into, should they join those particular groups and forums. It's certainly something I wish I had before any of all this. So basically, instead of a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, we have our own Hitchhiker's Guide of places to avoid when trying to find AS people online. But yeah, those are my thoughts on how to tackle the problem of safe spaces and censorship. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.